Now, for a couple of months there, Spencer would yell something just as I would unmute right before I was about to click over because I did a countdown. And he stopped like a full month ago. It's been a long time since he's done it. And I still, every time, hesitate because I'm waiting for him to say some shit. And it's driving me crazy. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to DM Writer's Room, a show where we demystify the DMing process by coming up with monsters, magic items, and entire worldscapes live. You may have joined us for the swamp. You may have joined us for the mountains. You may have joined us even for the north. But I've got good news. Each of these episodes is a bottle episode. We will reference the others quickly, but not too much, so you are more than welcome to stay here as we speak of the depths. That far ocean, or at least one ocean, maybe not the whole ocean. We haven't quite figured it out yet. The ocean off the coast of the continent that we've been talking about. Now, I'm going to start with just the information that we need to know about the world so that we can kind of reconnoiter ourselves. Fact number one.
Rick and Morty ourselves.
What? Fact number one. I don't want you to say it again. Fact number one. If you take a little rowboat out into the ocean from coast, you're perfectly fine for an amount of time. We weren't a little unspecific. While the water is still relatively shallow, you're good. You're in your boat. You're paddling. If you go a little too far, you are immediately horribly devoured by monsters. But if you can get far enough, you don't get horribly devoured by monsters. So we need to figure out what is going on in that band and what keeps it there, because we know that there's a port city that has the incredibly massive body of a primordial giant, right? We're talking about a body that is miles long and, occupies this massive space. And if ships sail over the top of that dead body, like a billowing cloud of death, whatever comes off of this thing keeps those monsters away. So there's like a break there that you can sail through to the other side. So we know it's not like impossibly massive, this band of danger. It can at most be a few miles wide. Because I can fantasy justify the giant being like a mile tall, because we probably don't have a normal atmosphere, right? There's probably some weird stuff going on with space and whatever, so that's fine. This planet might be a flat plane that goes on into perpetuity as it moves outward, right? It might not even be a world. We can figure all that out later. What I mainly need to figure out is why these big fish don't go out. Some other things that we know, the gods of this world are localized. There's a god of the region that they are in. They are not the gods of the entire world. There is one theoretical being, although I assume that the average person has absolutely no idea this is true. I think the average fancy person has absolutely no idea this is true. I think there's like maybe 4 people who know that, in fact, there is this great divinity that shatters itself every few thousand years into an infinite composite of gods who then slowly aggregate over the ages back into a central being who has maybe to learn something, maybe just to continue to experience life. We don't know. It has continued to shatter itself and reform, assumably infinite time, stretching back into, who knows how long into the past. And we know that there is a dragon of every biome of the world, but only one. There is a great dragon of swamps, and the swamp it resides in is extremely large and very magical because it is there. Not every swamp has a dragon. Probably most swamps, I'm guessing, have some small avatar of the dragon, right? Maybe like swamp dragons are a thing that you encounter, but I imagine most of them are like this big. Much big like I assume there's a couple of other maybe frost dragons or not. We can figure that out later. I'm not here to, commit. Maybe it's like maybe kobolds, maybe swamp kobolds appear in the swamp and ice kobolds. That might be better.
I love the idea of that.
That might be better. Thanes. That might be better. Thanes? Yeah, no, that's very good. They all make like a great journey every 100 years back to the homeland to speak and commune with the dragon. Let me write all that down. Kobold, what am I even writing? Kobold nomads. Rep biomes. So here are my questions. Number 1, What's up with what I am dubbing the danger zone? Question number 2. What's up with what I am dubbing the safety zone? Because the answer for the shallows is really easy. Big monster no swim that shallow.
They can't get there.
Can't go and get there. And my third question is, one ocean dragon, question mark? Couple of ocean dragons, question mark? What's going on there?
Let's establish. This is a big swing. We got to establish world scale.
Now remember,
we haven't built a map. We haven't done any of this yet.
Our goal is to be as hard fantasy at every turn as we can. We have been making wild swings to make that as true as we can as we continue. So go ahead.
In my mind, a Pangea-esque world that's like just split instead of being like separated by hundreds of miles. Instead, it's separated by like, dozens from one section that's split from the rest, is more fantasy in my brain. Or just a Pangea that hasn't been split at all. Instead of like, there's one continent here and there's a fully other one on the other side of the globe and another one up here. That's my swing, would be we are a just post-Pangea.
What I like is that what you are emulating is a bad fantasy map where they drew the circle first and then went, what map fits in this circle? And just drew like a big squiggly continent in the circle and went, great, that's how continents work.
There we go.
Which is deeply funny. To me, it's funny. My mind goes to the opposite direction. I go to like One Piece style exploded world.
Yeah.
Where like continents don't even get that big. Because big continents are hard to adventure on. Michael, what's your thing?
It's a bunch of Galapagos. Go ahead.
I was thinking the one big continent Pangea style just is slightly exploded, but the thought I was having with that was which fantasyify it. People built stuff trying to keep it together too. Like this zone has. Some people built a bridge that's trying to tie it together. Other people have built. I don't know.
I gotta put on my Killjoy hat. I gotta put on the Killjoy hat. We would need to change. We would need to make some major and shocking changes to the pace of continental drift for that to be possible. And if that is true, the earthquake state of this planet is truly unsurvivable. The average life expectancy here is 1 minute before you are killed by earthquakes and volcanoes, if that is true.
And that's where all the monsters in the ocean came from, like Godzilla.
Okay. Here's how I can tap into your dual dreams 2 ways.
Sure.
There's only 2 methods. One is that we make the continents a little bit more exploded, but so like they're still all attached and they're like the great limbs of some beast. They stretch off very far in all directions. That would mean that the central area of the continent would be a massive impassable desert of incredible and unfathomable heat, which would be, I would say, an obstacle. But
that's the next session.
That's something we can. The desert is, I want to be so clear. It's the desert from Dune. It's Arrakis. It's unpassable. You die if you go outside. Option 2, we have a kind of swirling continent where things move very easily, but don't cause huge amounts of friction and therefore like rip coastlines apart. But like there is a little bit of an almost soft sliding movement to the continent as it billows, which is why it hasn't separated, right? They aren't going on these million-year-long journeys as these continents slowly tear apart from each other. Instead, they are on the scale of centuries or decades even, kind of swirling around each other, which has the benefit of it being like, well, so wars for territory are constant as people as plotline shift. So option 1, we have a very large kind of like armed spiral kind of world with a impassable desert at its center. Option 2, we have a kind of like softer style of plates that are constantly shifting, and like maybe a part will pull off for a few years, but again, instead of launching itself on an unchanging diagram that needs to go pretty much all the way around the world before it comes back and slams into something else, it can just move and then crash back in somewhere.
Number 2, I think it fits in with our like ever-changing worldscape between iterations that the god does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's interesting to have the places be ever-shifting as well. And it's fun because when you do, like, the giants left a massive treasure at this location, your party has to figure out where that location is instead of just following the map to the spot. It's like, well, after the last 1,000 years, where actually is that island? We have no idea.
Yeah, that's really fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like our world's made out of, like, a thick soup.
Yeah.
Yes.
It also
Corn
solves,
chowder.
It also solves a lot of fantasy problems of like the lost city of Kalamve, because in real life that shit doesn't happen. Because you're like, what do you mean lost? What? That's not how it works. Here. Like, we know where it was roughly, and you just go there. Like in the 1800s, we thought that you could lose stuff, and we didn't have powerful scrying magic. Like we didn't have like incredible wizards that could help. I kind of like the idea that if you read about where a location is in a book and you try to scry on it, you will scry on the geographical area, which could be the completely wrong spot. You would need like an object to attach yourself to or something. Okay, the continent is a shifting, ever-changing semi-fluid. All right, sick. So now I'm totally down that the sorcerer king of, you know, Valen Caraxes has used his great and terrible magic to freeze his portion of the continent so that it never changes, like Michael was saying. Bridges have been built between the lands because they are stable, but maybe like earthquakes are happening there. It's just no one knows what an earthquake is.
Because that's grinding.
Because he is causing this like massive grinding wheel in the center of what otherwise should be kind of free flowing.
I do have a question too. Do biomes shift when they change areas?
That's wherever the dragon is. We already figured that out.
Cool. Okay.
Dragons, baby. But the mini biomes are
mini biomes
powered
can change
by the Thanes? Or
I want to be so completely clear. If what we had described was true, life would not have developed on this planet.
Oh god, yeah.
So we can play it pretty fucking fast and loose. I think there is I think it's somewhere in the middle of actual geology and the scions of the great dragons keep the climate stable. I think both things are true, and you just kind of have to interact with that. So like mountains, that's where rivers come from. But what if like a river moves? Ask me in a week. You know, ask me when it moves. I don't know right now. I'll know then. I'll come up with an answer in the moment. My guess is the river just moves. Or the river goes away for a little while, or I don't know.
It goes back.
You know, probably.
So back to the ocean and the monsters within it, because everybody knows there does have to be monsters within it. That's sort of the thrust of the ocean.
My only follow-up question we need to answer at some point is: are these continents shifting on decade or century timetables? Because if it's a decade timetable, you could build a city, and then that city could get dropped into the ocean.
I think decade, and that might be why there's not a lot of coastal towns on these places.
Building by the coast is just a dipshit move.
It's just like, we would never do that. It'll collapse. So you go as central as you can.
So maybe, that makes me wonder if maybe our giant skeleton isn't a dead giant. Like, I assumed that our giant skeleton off the coast was one of these zombie giants that tried to cross the ocean and died as it entered the water. But if the continent is usually shifting and we have this long-standing port city that even over the course of many decades has not been annihilated, maybe that giant died way before the zombification and died in some, like, great ritual of sealing to keep that port safe. And so I think, unlike our sort of evil wizard character who's trying to keep the whole continent in place, I think they basically just like locked that city down. And so everything else still moves around it. But like, I think if you're standing, I think people have I think some weird, like, arcanist has run an experiment where they put, like, a big stone down outside the walls of the city, and that stone moved, but the city didn't. Like, everything else is moving around it. But if you were to watch from top down for 10 years, you would watch the ground slide underneath the city. Is pretty much the only option. All right, so let's start talking about monsters.
That's super fun.
Why are the monsters in a giant band of water surrounding the continents? And maybe more importantly, why don't they go into the deep ocean?
I have a one thought that just relates to real life. I don't even think it's a good idea, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are sections of ocean, just like there are places in land, where the like chemical makeup of it is antithetical to life. If you breathe in the air in this cave, you die. If you go into this section of the ocean and you breathe it in as a fish, you die because it's sulfuric or, you know, whatever. I could see something about the movement of the islands, of the continents spinning around, keeping that inhospitable water away from the currents, like the currents are whipping it around. So once you get beyond the currents of the shifting continents, it like stagnates, and that kills you. So if you try to breathe it in as a gilled creature, you die. So you have to stay close to the swirling of the continents. That's one thought that I have.
I like it. I just have the connected follow-up. Why don't the people die who go there?
They're not breathing it in. They're not drinking the water. They just sit on their boat and they're breathing regular air. It's the ocean itself that's stagnated. So they can just go through.
I'm getting too real-world logical, because I'm like, but if you're right above it, and it's so toxic to the fish in it that these monsters with, like, huge, slow metabolisms die instantly, then wouldn't a person just inhaling the sea air also die? My first thought is so I'm down with that. I think that's cool. My first thought was it's the bigger fish problem exponentially upscaled. So the monsters that you encounter in that band are very deadly for people. But if you were to go out onto the ocean, you are dealing with creatures there are monsters there too. Creatures, we should just say. These aren't like, you know, it's not like they're twisted up. When we say monster, technically we mean like an unnatural, magically created thing that attacks everything it encounters as opposed to a beast.
So these
beast, creature, monster, whatever the hell it is. It's that as you get into deeper and deeper water, because this world doesn't have the gravitational problem of size, right? Because giants exist, so we know that the gravitational paradox does not exist. Creatures in this world can get infinitely large and not die under the weight of their own bones. So as you get into deeper water, I imagined that the monsters were so big that they would eat medium-sized monsters that would go after fish, but wouldn't bother with people. Maybe that also doesn't make sense.
I think it makes sense.
Like,
what do you got? You got anything?
I like both of those ideas. The only idea I was having is it deals with magic, fantasyifying it. This band is infused with extra magic where it's not toxic to anything, but these creatures have been in this area or this band for so long they've absorbed enough magic to increase into leviathans. Whereas, like, if people were in it, they'd be fine. They would magify too and get bigger or something. It's just these things have been here longer, so they're more dangerous.
Option 4, God did it.
Yep.
God said, I want big monsters and I want them near the coast, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried. Here's my thing. I think yours is cooler than mine and makes a little more sense because big monsters eat small stuff all the time. Here's my problem. I struggle to see how we can have poison ocean and not have nothing else in the ocean and move on to deforest right now. Right? If the ocean is a giant, endless cavalcade of poison and it needs to stay ever swirling for it to not be deeply poisonous. Number one, where's the great dragon of the ocean? Why is it not affected by the poison? And number two, that means there's nothing in the ocean. That means there's no fish. That means the entire ocean is dead. And so there's nothing to do there. Nobody would ever be able to get to any of the islands. And why would you? You'd starve to death. There's no creatures there. So, like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit about the ocean? Because if that's the case, then, alright, then the ocean doesn't matter in the setting at all.
It's bad. Yeah. Yeah, it has to be a ban. It has to be dangerous, safe, and then dangerous again for it to be anything, really.
Like, if we want anybody to bother going to the ocean, that means there needs to be places to go. So we can't. That's why I was pushing back against straight up Pangea, because if we're in Pangea, there's nothing cool or interesting in the ocean because there's nothing there. That's just water over there.
True.
So that can't be what it is. So with the swirling continents, the right pieces will break off and rejoin and break off and rejoin, and somebody will be like, there's a prophecy that in 10,000 years the lost island will return, and sure enough, there it comes, trucking through the water to come back. That gives us places to go. But I get the logical follow-up of why? But if the ocean is an eternal, endless scale of poison, then the only interesting thing to do in the ocean is to get to an island and get off your boat.
I was like, with mine, we could do underwater civilizations. People stayed in the water too, and they became merfolk or such.
I know, I think that would mean that underwater civilizations live within an incredibly tight band very close to the coast, so they're not lost at all. Correct. You can see every single one of them. They are bright, and they are there and visible. Which is fine.
I think that it has to be bigger creatures that just don't care about ships. It's the only thing that makes sense for the deep ocean. You go out, and the odds are you're probably going to be safe when you get past the coast because you're not dealing with the medium-sized beasts. You're dealing with extremely large ones that could not care less about destroying a ship to eat 6 dudes. So I think that does make the most sense.
So now I have a sort of a scaling question. Michael, go first.
I was going to say, the other thing that we can work with is, along with monsters, there could be abnormal weather patterns that cause bad ocean, bad weather, stuff like that.
So I have a scaling question, and I have a tides question. Because we're in the ocean, so we're in the nerd zone. Hey everybody, welcome to my house. This is the nerd zone. So we know we want there to be tides, right? And those kinds of things, because it makes sense. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm going to have to ask the question if we are on a sphere or not. That question's coming in the next 30 minutes.
We've been avoiding it.
I need to know if we're on a sphere here real soon. Because here's my thing. Yeah. If we're on a sphere, the tides take care of themselves. If we're not on a sphere, then something needs to do the tides. And my first impulse would be, if the creatures in the ocean are so, if even I am fucking up the scale, right? Because I'm like, well, whales still eat krill. It's like, no. You're thinking whale to krill. It's a flea to the moon. And what causes the tides are infinitely massive sea serpents that encircle the disk that everyone lives on. And their great gliding swimming causes the tides, as waves are as they displace infinite magnitudes of water in all directions.
That's pretty fun.
Yes. The other option, it's the dragon. It's the great worm of the ocean that's causing the tides.
So
I like that there's so many big beasts in the water that it's causing it. I just wanted to say it could be the dragon.
The dragon could be one of them, or could be the biggest one. What I like about that is it means that in our world there isn't probably a world tree myth, because the association with our world's version of Jormungandr would be a dragon so massive it encircles the world's oceans. So when you talked about, journeying to another place, my guess is the ocean would come up more frequent. You'd be speaking more about, in a lot of cultural traditions, right? When you talk about other planes, you're talking about limbs of a great tree. And it's the same with D&D. D&D kind of does the same thing. In this world, I think you talk about it like islands on a great ocean.
Yeah.
If that is what defines things so much, if continents are constantly drifting, then that, like, obsession with stagnant, powerful things that hold things up would be non-existent. Everyone would be much more affiliated with, like, a swirling, changing reality that they have to accommodate. Yeah. Okay. So, massive sea monsters, massive creatures cause the tide. I've got so many questions coming off of this.
What I think would be the coolest adventure option would be if you needed to get to the lost city of Tatelia or whatever, you would go up to, you would find the great dragon of the depths, and you would say, we need to get from here to this location. Please stop the tide or send it this direction. And if you give a good enough offering, the great dragon might do it for you. So that way the serpents and stuff can't knock you off course. Yeah. You have it set and you would go. That's how I would do it.
I think another version of that I really like, we talked about each of the serpents having a gift that they give. Like, what was our... Somniac gives the ability to be impervious to the cold. I kind of like the idea that the great dragon of the water gives you the gift of knowing the tides. And so I think there are sea captains who just know the tides. And I don't think there's another way to do it. I don't think there are, like, oceanographers who are like, well, I figured out the tides. I think there are biologists who track the hunting patterns of the beasts, and that's how they figure out the tides, is by just following these creatures around. And so when you look at the maps, they've, like, named all of the beasts. I think that maybe, like, my next thought is there's probably is still some kind of astrology, but there's also probably some kind of, like, whatever beast was closest to the coast affects your personality as the superstition. Like, that's what you're affiliated with, rather than sort of, like, starscapes.
I think I love that idea about the tracking monsters for the tides. If I can add to it, I think this is like this is a secret. Like, people don't really know about this, and people that are able to figure out the tides, people think that they're the ones that make the tide too, and call them, like, tide makers or something.
I have a counter, and it's that the common populace doesn't understand it, but any sailor, any like merchant, people that would work in those realms does understand it. Other people think it's just kind of crazy.
It opens us up to my favorite joke in fantasy, which is there are scholars all across the world that guess our real thing, and the sailors are like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, there are scholars who are like, the only logical explanation is that there are large plates of stone that glide on molten earth, and they're all like, boo! And they're all like, I don't know how to tell you this. It's a big crayfish, and he crawls around the northern sea. I've seen him. His name is Francisco. Like, it's very good. It's like how there's a really funny example in Discworld, Terry Pratchett's world, which is a disc on the back of 4 elephants on the back of a giant sea turtle. There was a sailor who wanted to prove that the world was a sphere and not a flat disc, and so he sailed a ship off the edge and died. It's the exact one-to-one. That's exactly what it gets me. There's something fun about it. All right.
I like the idea that the map makers of the world, because we are Pangea, there's one ocean, and it's what surrounds the, like, kind of Pangea. There's sections of the ocean that are ruled by those, great underwater dwellers. So those sections are marked on maps as being, like, Ilthakirs. Like, Ilthakir section and all that. So the names of the oceans are just the typical hunting grounds of those great serpents that live under the waves.
Okay. Ocean names, creature names, I like that. All right, so here's my big follow-up. We're trying to make a setting that's kind of fantasy neutral, but we all know that, 5e's pretty big right now. We'll see. Maybe we're writing for Daggerheart. I don't know what's going on in 2 years. Maybe we're writing for Draw Steel. I don't know.
It's Draw Steel.
Assuming that the elemental planes exist. Big assumption. They don't need to. What is the connection between the ocean and the elemental plane of water? And are they different things? Right? My question is there an amount of the ocean that is... My first thought is that if you were able to, like, sit somebody down, if you got in a boat and you cast a spell that told you what plane of existence you were on, if you cast it in the shallows, it would say, you're on the primaterial plane. And then if you rode out to the monster zone, which I do think you probably can get through it, given what we've said, right? It doesn't sound like it's crammed with monsters. There just are a lot more there. And you cast it, it would say primaterial plane. I think if you go to deep ocean and cast it, from what we've said so far, with our ocean apparently being like infinitely deep and having this endless world serpent in it, when you cast that spell, are you still on the primaterial plane? Or are you on the elemental plane of water?
I have an idea. You're not in it yet, but we're thinking it was a flat plane, right? We're not world.
We haven't answered that question yet.
We're sort of flat
okay.
planing right now.
If we're flat planing it, we could have the ocean feeding into the plane of water, kind of reverse what a lot of people do, or
like the disc
planes
is above the plane and the water is pushing
it just
down
feeds
into
it.
Yeah, I mean, my counteroffer so now I need to discuss, so how do we understand that? Welcome to DM Writer's Room, a show where we get into world building to crazy style, right? So if the world's not a sphere, which sounds fine, and if the world is a flat plane as we are describing, then I have a question. Is it a disc with an edge, making it a flat plane with a terminal corner, or is the world an infinite kaleidoscope of reality? In which case, I think that the elemental plane of water, I think that you couldn't... I've got my words, 1 second. I think if you drew this world, you couldn't draw an edge. I don't think it would work. I think that you would leave the continent and you'd hit the elemental plane of water. And it would be like, oh, so like, when will I hit the edge of the elemental plane of water? And you're like, nope, that's where you are. You got to the elemental plane of water. The elemental plane of water is an eternal water. So what happens if I turn around? You will go back to the primaterial plane. So where does the one end and the other begin? Where it does. It's not like if you were to look at the world, it wouldn't be a continent and then the ocean, and then you wouldn't draw a big circle that's the plane of water. It would be, no, you're on the world. If you go too far into the ocean, you're on the primaterial plane of water. If you come back, it's going to be our world. If you go back out, it might not be the same spot. That's where the primaterial plane of water is, though. And if that's true, then if you get on a airplane and you fly into the sky, you'll be in normal sky for a while, and then eventually you'll be in the elemental plane of air. And it's like, oh, where's the edge? Where's the edge? And you're like, wrong question. If you go too up, you go to the elemental plane of air. And I think if you grab a shovel and you start digging, eventually you hit the elemental plane of earth. You've just gone far enough down that you're there now. I know that's really hard to understand.
It makes sense.
But it's the closest I can get. The only other option is it's a disc.
That's it.
Or it's a sphere.
And
it's either a sphere, a disc, or a non-Newtonian eternity. Where are we thinking? What are we doing here?
And the last offer I have would be, it is a disc and it ends and it falls off. Or it doesn't and it's just stuck there and you can't really fall off. You just get bounced around. The elemental plane of water would be owned by the dragon of the depths. So when you are in his vicinity or its vicinity, that's when you're in the elemental plane. Just like the elemental plane of air would be the dragon of the mountains because it's so high up, you know, etc., etc., etc. So the layer that they are currently inhabiting is the elemental plane of blank. I'm not for it. It was just another idea to make them more integral to the world.
So if we want that to be true, then I think people live on the elemental planes. I think the elemental planes are the primaterial plane. What's the element? And that's why there is a giant supercontinent. A little bit. It's like, why? Because that's the elemental plane of Earth. And it's like, oh. So the ocean is the elemental plane of water. Duh.
And they're all just like...
And the elemental plane of air is just what's up. If you go up, you're in the elemental plane of air. My question then, where is fire?
It's a great question.
Volcano.
Yeah, that's sort of my first thought, would be pyroclastic flow.
We have volcano, which would make the elemental plane of fire by far the smallest. We have sun, in which case the elemental plane of fire, where is it? Way up there.
Bingo.
Why isn't it here? I think they're probably, and this is how, if I was role-playing a wizard, if I was playing fucking Mordenkainen in this world, not Mordenkainen, who's one of the old wizards? Otto or somebody, I would be like, it's very simple. We are here. That is the elemental plane of water, this is the elemental plane of earth, that's the elemental plane of air. That's the elemental plane of fire. Somebody's like, oh, what's there? Why is that all the way over there? There is some here there. It's too hot for anything to be there, so we're here.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's land near there? Probably. Can't get too close, don't know. Oh. So it's not that the elemental plane of fire doesn't exist, it's just that it needs to be there? Yep. It's gotta be there. Why? Because it can't be here. Because here is where we are. It's not that hard. Oh, your nose is bleeding. Like...
Whoa.
Yeah, and I do really like that. We could make the sun so much closer too. Like you could get there. You're gonna start burning.
I guess my
now,
question.
if there was a cult that decided to start a big enough fire, just like burn all the great kingdoms at once. Would it bring the elemental plane of fire closer? Would it give it a location on the plane?
Can I make a weird pitch?
Yeah.
Based on Spencer's thing of them being cultists. I think earth, water, and air are elements. I think fire is like, I don't even fucking know, dude.
Some other thing.
I think our Cthulhu is the sun. And I think there are cultists to the sun who burn things. And I think it's like, oh, so like what facet of reality is fire? And in this case, so I correct myself, Mordenkainen's like, bro, I have no idea. It consumes everything.
It's destruction.
It boils water to nothing. It turns sand to glass. It turns life to death. If you stand out in it too long, you redden and die. Like, I don't know, man. It's fucking bad. It's up there. Good. We're afraid of it. It sucks ass.
Yeah, it was also funny. Like, all the other, the true elements, you touch water, it doesn't hurt. You touch earth, it doesn't hurt. You touch any of it. You touch fire, it hurts.
Fire's something else.
The idea that the moon as the counterpoint of the sun would be a target for the cult to essentially light the moon ablaze to bring the plane together is also really cool. It's just an unlit version of the sun that does exist.
The one question I do have, day-night cycle. Is the plane moving around?
So for me,
stagnant.
Here's the thing, we're getting into hard fantasy territory.
Mm-hmm.
If the sun is a terrible, unknowable god of fire that seeks to consume all things, then I think Spencer is right. I think the sun is out when the sun is winning, and the moon is out when the moon is winning. And it just happens that they win and lose for about the same amount of time. every year.
go
Like,
back
I
and
think the moon chases the sun away. Is that what it is? Is the moon chasing the sun?
That's badass. Because
I'm
again,
cool with that.
we're on a plane of planes. The fuck would the moon be?
How many moon?
What would the moon be? I think we have to have a moon. I
One
love the
moon?
One moon just as a counterpoint to the sun, yeah.
And with it chasing like that, again, Dane, I'd say, is it half the year? Is night half the year's day?
No.
It
So
goes like
cool.
that.
It's so.
Nope.
I just think of 30 Days of Night, which is so badass. But it would be really hard to roleplay, especially because, like, are there stars? Is there light to see by in that instance?
I have a huge question. Is there time zones?
Fuck no.
No? Great. Then yeah, the moon chases the sun. The sun is there half the time. The moon is there half the time.
Perfect.
Because if there were time zones, that would mean we're going full flat Earth. The moon and sun are quite small. And, like, the reason we have time zones is the sun is like Pac-Man running from the moon across the continent.
It could be, again, a counter is that the sun is chasing the moon, and the moon constantly revolves around the plane, because the sun wants to catch the moon to start it ablaze and make its power grow. Instead of the moon catching the sun, what would the sun do? Yeah, or what would the moon do? I think it gives something actionable for the cultists.
We need to figure something out between these two things. That's all.
Yeah.
So if the sun is chasing the moon, why? If the moon is chasing the sun, why?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If we're looking for something
Easy.
actionable, the cultists want to kill the moon so that it stops chasing the sun so that the sun can come here. I think every now and again, I think in this world, a solar eclipse is when the moon hits the sun.
Doink.
Right?
That's
Because
hilarious.
otherwise, I have the question of why hasn't it... Is that it swallowing the moon for a brief time and then the moon breaks away? The reason I was thinking the moon chases the sun is the sun eventually finds an open path, begins to come closer, and I think in anticipation of a solar eclipse, it gets hotter. And then the moon, like knocks the sun back into the sky. In which case, the moon is like some incredible, all-powerful guardian. The other option is... We're getting really weird.
We're talking deep lore right now.
My other pitch, if it was my world building, is that the moon is the body of this god, and that the sun is its, like, soul, and that the sun chases the moon because it wants to be complete so that it can eat the world, and it never is. In that case, the reason they are opposite isn't because either of them is chasing the other. It's because there is some great curse on whatever this thing is. Like the shattered god of this world, the creation myth of everything is once there was the great Titan, and then its son ripped it in half and cast its body into the two parts of the sky and built a world so that it would not be able to see itself and be born again. And it ever looks for its other half and cannot find it. That also kind of puts us on a globe again.
True. My easiest answer. The sun wants to catch the moon to light it ablaze. Once it has doubled its strength, it has the ability to come to the plane and destroy everything. Until then, the other elements are too powerful versus it. So once it catches it, it illuminates, and then they can do it. There is no lunar eclipse. That shit just doesn't happen in this world. They're constantly perfectly interposed. The cult's goal is to stop the moon from moving long enough that the sun can illuminate it. That's my give.
I have to be honest, I'm beginning to move into the direction that the sun and moon have nothing to do with each other. I'm starting to think this is not worth the sauce.
That's fair.
And that the sun is a big scary thing that people pray to, and when they pray to it, it catches stuff on fire, and that is so bad, ow, ow, ow. Yes. And that the moon is just the moon. And it's just like, God, look at that thing. Is that a world? What is that?
That thing's crazy. That thing's up there, though.
That's just where I'm leaning. Like, maybe the sun needs to stop being a primordial. Let's make the sun being... Another good option is the sun being a primordial and unknowable terror. Let's scrap that. It's just there. And when people contact it, it gives them fire. That's not necessarily it trying to burn the world. That's just what happens. And some cultists have chosen to give that, right? They think it wants to consume all things because fire consumes all things. Other people are like, or maybe it's just up there, dog.
It's just chill. It's just there.
Yeah. The one thing we definitely got away from it is us considering it a plane. Is it still plane? Is it not a plane?
Not a plane.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say we can go all the way back to... Yeah, no, you're right, because we're talking about it as like a big...
Not if we're doing the earth, water, air thing. The earth, water, air,
Yeah.
all the planes are one and we are there is good.
And that's its own thing, yeah.
Mhm.
And then fire isn't. And I also, now talking to you guys about it, fire being an element doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. We just say that shit like it makes
barely
sense.
naturally occurring. Barely naturally occurring.
It's ignited gas. Like fire is a reaction. It's not a state.
Mm-hmm.
I meant state
agree.
like state like a place you can go. I understand that fire is kind of a state of matter a little
A
bit.
state
but,
of
like,
being,
relax.
yeah.
It's not. Not really.
It's plasma
have solid.
adjacent.
I wouldn't even call it plasma.
Boys, I didn't take chemistry, so I'm gonna go ahead and
You took
die
chemistry?
this one.
I think
no,
Michael-
sir.
I think Michael proved my point. Fire's not an element. Fire's just stuff.
fire is just the thing that destroys stuff.
So this world there is no plane of fire. This is not an
No.
element.
All
I'm
right,
cool
it's
with that.
easy.
So let's settle this. Does the sun think and want to eat, or is the sun just up there for real?
Ethan, what's your vote?
I think the sun's just up there for real.
Okay.
I'd
Michael,
rather have a
what are you
different
thinking?
eldritch god. I can come up with better ideas.
Okay. I think we come up with a better idea too, so I vote.
Yeah,
it's-
the
it's
sun
just
and
there.
moon thing is played out, so we can jump on some other shit. I do want something cool for the moon though, because the moon is always crazy. What is that thing doing
I'm
up
cool with
there?
that.
It's an
Um,
eldritch god.
Yeah.
It's the moon presence from Bloodborne.
Yes. If
So
you
I
eat enough
do-
umbilical cords, you can fight it.
There we go. I do think that there should be something cool because it heavily affects lichen folk. I can see vampires praying to it because it's not the sun, so they probably have something to do with it.
Do we want the sun, the moon, to be a bad thing?
A what?
A bad thing. Because
A bad thing.
if we want the moon to be a bad thing, then there's one other sort of like big axiomatic paradigm that we have yet to figure out here, which is the sun gives life. The moon in our world is just up there for real. So if the sun is just up there and its rays give life to the point of if our sun is almost like a Feywild analog, right? It's rampant uncontrolled growth. The sun causes cancer. The sun also causes plants to grow. Is the moon the opposite?
Stagnation.
Is the moon like stagnation and entropy and cold and death? Like, is it not that? Is it not like, oh no, it's just not hot because the sun is there? It's like, no, it's not hot because the moon is there. And the moon takes things. Like, do old people die more at night?
I have one thought that I want to say, and it's that the moon is the throne of the shattered god, and it's the moon right now because the god isn't on it. That's all. I like the idea of the moon being entropy, though. I think that's badass. Old people die more at night. Monsters
not
are more
entropy.
crazy at night.
And also-
Vampires would pray to it.
And also, the great and terrible prophecy is that when the all-in-one returns to one again, the sun and the moon will meet in the sky and make his throne above us all before the world is sundered to be made anew, right?
Badass.
And so you could have a memory of one of the liches, right? Because each lich in this world is somebody who found a way to be immortal and survived the transition. So you could tap into this memory of this lich watching the sun and moon like fracture and grow into one another in the sky.
Two things. I'm back to thinking that if the sun and moon combine, it would mean nothing just lore-wise. The sun is a piece of the god.
I think the sun and the moon both are.
Especially saying the moon is the throne of the god is a cool thought.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, like, here's the thing, though. Like, if you're the god of all things, then I think you are part of your throne, right? One of the things the god casts off, maybe two of the things it casts off are these two aspects of eternity so that it can live, right? It throws away both halves and sort of what
the ankle weights.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I'm super cool with that thought. That's super fun. The second thing we were talking about how it's anti-entropy. What do you think about when the moon's out? There's no the islands, the lands don't shake, they don't shift.
Oh, that would be fun. Under the light of the moon, they don't.
The lands don't shift, but the beasts in the sea are more active. Is fun because then the moon still controls the tides in this world, just in a really circuitous way.
Yeah, I could see there being some form or like some missions that you have to do under the moon to have precise locations, stuff like that.
It's also funny because the land moves and the sea moves at the two opposite ends. So going outside at night sucks. So people are afraid of the dark in this world, and they mean it. It is not a bit. It's not a joke.
It's bad stuff. And then the cult of the sun makes more sense, where they're like, if the sun is all the time, it's gonna be great.
And I think logical people are like, that's probably not a good idea. Like, that's not anybody. If you stay out in the sun too long, it's bad for you. And they're like, but no moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
That means there is also a cult to the moon, and I like that, right? I like the idea that you would have this weird, almost Pokemon evil gym boss argument where the cult of the moon is like, but wouldn't you rather the world be cool and calm and quiet? And the people that worship the sun are like, no, not
That's
that.
awful.
I want it to be hot. I want it to be spicy. And it's like, okay, normal, weird.
Two more things then too. I just throwing out there. The cult is two different people or two different groups, and they both hate each other. The one cult is the vampires, and well, they're both cults of the moon that hate each other. But it's, the first cult's vampires, and the other is elves. Both are stagnant in life. They're almost immortal.
That's pretty fun.
That's pretty fun. I thought like elves in this world, or whatever we call our elf-like analog, are just, it translates to children of the moon, and they just don't. And the gift. So like all these various things can give you gifts, right? There's a lot of gifts in this world. If the gift of the moon is that you stop aging. And so an elf in this world is just anybody who's been given the gift of the moon, and you just stop aging, and the only thing that can kill you is being a dipshit.
Funny. That's so funny. And it's funny because it's like, the only thing that can stop you from living forever is being a dipshit. Also, don't go out at night still. Like, it's really bad to go out at night. It's really dangerous. Yeah, that's great. Badass. So back to the ocean. Back to the depths.
One last question about our celestial. Can we see a dragon on the moon, and can we see a dragon on the sun?
No, I don't think so, because it's the god aspect. It's not elemental.
Okay.
If it were more elemental, then there would be a dragon.
I think a bunch of people think there is.
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking
because they don't know about the god thing.
I was just thinking. The lunar dragon and soul dragon just sound cool.
Okay, so let's recap here. The continent that we are on is like one massive, shifting, semi-fluid continent drifting in and across itself. The danger zone where here there be monsters is there because it is the safe place for those creatures to be. If they go any further out, they risk drawing the attention of monsters so large that people are beneath their notice. and they can't move any closer simply because of the coast. So there's this miles-wide band around the continent that is dangerous. Not impassable, just very dangerous. And there are a few safe means of moving outside. Out in the ocean, there are great monsters that make the tides, including the great dragon of the ocean, whose blessing you can earn to be able to know those tides. It's more dangerous to sail at night because the moon is out. And when the moon is out, predators, in general, are more active and energetic, which I think is fairly true of our own world. But in this world, it is real and actionable and always true. I think that most predators in this world are nocturnal, and that's like a direct correlation. So what else is going on in the ocean? Right, so there are occasionally islands because part of the continent will drift off for a number of years, decades, maybe even centuries. It'll like float around and move. What other things are out there? Because if those things are constantly moving, then we can pick one or two of them as we continue, but we've got 30 minutes left, right? So we got time to figure that out. So what is there that's not islands? Are there people who live out there, right? I always want there to be some kind of floating barge or something where people live. Is there Rapture? Is there an underwater city built by hubristic fools? There's a big squeaky toy out there. There's a big squeaky toy out there. I do like
there being a big squeaky toy in the ocean.
So, like, what else is out there? Why risk the ocean? Why, if it's so full of monsters and so dangerous, you know, as these things drift away, are you not just like, oh, those people are all dead. That's so sad. So, like, I think one of the answers is these islands. That's great. Is there another aspect to that? Like, I think about in our own world, people always go looking for land. They're looking for new places. If we have a giant floating, swirling Pangea, then the desire for that's going to be limited. You're going to know where things departed from. So what the hell is out there? Is our entire... Like, where are we going? What do we want that is out there? Is there something that's not a landmass? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're getting into weird kind of esoteric bullshit, but I think we kind of have to be when we're left here. Like, do the 9 hells exist? Are they in the ocean if you go far enough? Like, what's out there that people want so bad? Is it hunting these massive secret? Do people occasionally manage to kill one? And in which case, like, what does that do to the tide? Like, what the fuck happens when you do that? That's crazy. Are there creatures? Are there relics of the last world left adrift in the ocean? That might be kind of fun. What's out there?
I think definitely relics. That guaranteed people. That's your treasure hunters. I think, again, a little esoteric, a little weird. It goes a little bit with your 9 hells, but not quite. That's where you can talk to dead people. When I think ocean deep, I think creepy ghosts. That's where the souls abide.
Do people who die in this world go to the ocean?
I'm kind of what I'm thinking.
Spencer seems non-committed.
What I'm thinking is the burial rites of the world could be that you send out a funeral barge. Instead of burying your people, you send them out to sea. And that would give a reason for the people and the ghosts to be there. It's that you send them away. It could be seen as like offerings to the great serpents. It could be any number of reasons for why they do it. But that would explain why there are ghosts on the ocean. And why you would go out to see the ghosts. I could see that. Funeral rites. So then you put them on the river and you'd send them out that way.
Yeah, but then my follow-up question, very simple. Is that real? Like, do people send the body out on the barge and it goes out and everybody cries because it's sad? And they're all like, and now he's in the ocean. My question is, and if you then take Grandpappy's boat and you go through the safe waters and you make it to the ocean, what happens? Are you going to talk to Grandpappy? Or is there an infinite number of souls stretching back to the dawn of time whose voices you need to sort through? we're gonna
That's
get
a
really
ton of
dark.
time.
We're gonna get really dark.
Just-
Do all of the souls get re-aggregated when the world is reborn?
That's fun.
Like, is it like, no, man, it's a hard reset. Like, all the souls swirl back into one, giga soul or whatever. Can you go out and talk to Pappy?
The idea of the ocean being a repository of souls to then be recycled for the new world is really badass. I just need to say that. I think you can go out and talk to Grandpappy, but you need people who are magically inclined. This is where, like, bringing a cleric along would work, because they use their magic to commune with them. It just makes it so there's no chance of failure. When you're on land, there's a chance you don't roll properly, you don't commune with the dead, it doesn't work. But out on the seas, you can do it. You just need to have some sort of connection, some sort of magic, whatever.
What I love about that is we've made something canonical about our world that is extremely funny, which is that when people drown because they go into the ocean, it is not because the water fills their lungs and they can't get the oxygen they need. It's because water's dead, and if you get too much of it in you, you die.
You die.
Yeah.
It's necrotic.
That's what happens. That has to be true. If you go out in the ocean, it's not that there's no oxygen out there. Water's dead. You need to drink a little bit of it to stay alive. And who knows what the fuck everybody thinks of that, right? But they think water slowly kills you, but you need it to live, so you have to die someday, because every sip of water you take brings you a little closer. But if you get too much water in you, you die.
So funny.
I would love to add an element. One of the reasons that people risk these voyages, to bring somebody back from the dead, you need to be out. You need to bring their body to the water. Like, you need to go out to the ocean to bring them back.
Yeah, badass.
That's true.
I like that you have to go out. It's like, I have to go talk to my grandpappy, and they're like, in the ocean? Are you sure? There's monsters and shit out there. Like, don't do that.
And I want to make reviving people who die in Dungeons and Dragons as hard as humanly possible, because it's boring that you can just bring them back. So I love the idea that it's like, no, there's like 9 places where it's easy, because for some various means it's safe to traverse the monster sea there. In the vast majority of places, you need to hire the most experienced sailor you can possibly find and hope for the best.
This is where the port city and the magic they use to keep their port open comes in. It's where people can go out and perform the rites safely, because the giant is there keeping everything kind of safe.
So what I'm also learning from that is the license to sail is unimaginably costly.
Yeah.
You have a license, you're probably sailing for the king.
My first assumption is maybe the worst one. If we don't want our world to be too hard, economics is bad. It would be, you can come here and sail out. You are a citizen of this kingdom now. You serve at the pleasure of the king now. Like, you are indentured. For how long?
Mm-hmm.
You're alive when you were supposed to be dead. You're indentured for the rest of your life.
That's funny. And the returned are just citizens of this location is really cool.
And it's like, people
It's really
escape
cool.
all the time, and I think they go get your ass. I think they're like, you went out in our waters to be brought back. You were brought back. You owe your life to the kingdom.
Or instead of getting you, they probably do send bounty hunters for people who are useful. It's that you are denied funeral rites. The port city does not sanction your return upon your next death, so your soul is not recycled in the ocean, and that's really bad. And if you don't go through this way, it's incredibly dangerous.
If you don't drop a body in the ocean, is that where we get like ghouls?
Yeah, you come back as an undead, for sure.
So
fun.
huge, important question. What if someone dies in Montana?
That's where the river and the tributaries and stuff comes in. All the kingdoms that are set up along the river path, it's that they do that. They bring you from the river bottom to the ocean through the port city, and they drop your body.
So I like that. I think that every now and again when you're going up and down any of the rivers, you will just see a coffin float by or a body wrapped in linens. I think that's great. I'm talking about like somebody in the middle of Arizona dies. Is it someone's job to throw them on a wagon and bring them back? Like, does it? And it's like, is that a big thing in this world? That's like a very honored thing you're supposed to do. Is because I can see a lot of expressions surrounding. We think about like pallbearers as, you know, often it's, you know, the son carries the father in their final, you know, you carried me and now I carry you. That in this world is a far more literal and long-term gig. It's like, all right, I guess I'll start walking. You know what's really funny about that? In our world, people live near the water because water helps you transport things and like drink. In this world, it's like, no, it's just helpful. It's just good to be closer to the water.
It's quicker. Water's poisonous. I don't want to be near it all the time, but I have to be.
Time frame. How long does it take for dead bodies to become ghoul? 1 week, 1 month?
I think that it is a pleasant year. You get some time before you become a ghoul, because somebody who's on the far end, like mid country, isn't going to be able to get there within a week. It's like hundreds of miles for the furthest person. I'm
tempted to say it's just like 14 days. I'm tempted to say it's like
14 days.
It's short, and you're like, get going, and that's why gentle repose exists.
True. It could be short.
No, but go say your
thing.
I'm
not against that. I don't know, but if it was a year, it's just like, yeah, it takes a long time to get from one end to the actual coast to do this thing properly.
Okay,
so it takes a while.
I have a pitch. The amount of time you have is the number of days it would take to walk to the nearest ocean.
Ooh, that's pretty sick.
That's how long you have.
It's badass.
If somebody dies in the middle of the desert, you have 29 days. Why? Because you are 29 days away. Like, that's how long it will take. Maybe plus some time, right? If this is like a grace thing, you are given the time.
Yeah, plus 5.
So I like that. Maybe it's +3 or +5. I think +5 is good. So the ritual everywhere is you have 3 days to mourn, and then you get going because you have a 2-day buffer. And it's time to go.
What I love about this is adventure number 1, the introductory adventure to the Swamp World, being you're hired to help this, like, kid, this person, bring their dad to the ocean is really cool, because you'll see a bunch of different biomes, you'll interact with a bunch of different stuff, you'll be level 3 at the end, you drop the body in the ocean. Bada bing, bada boom. It's really a fun intro adventure. And it being a specific amount of days depending on geographic location indicates that this actually is a holy rite. Like, there's something really going on here. It's not like, man, it's a questionable amount of time. No, we know.
And what I also love about this is we were talking about vampires. Like, where do vampires come from? And we know that in the swamp, right, we have these horrible vampires that are like parishioners of the Great Leech. I think there's more than one way to end up a vampire. I think vampire's like an archetype. We probably won't call them vampires. Probably call them some other shit. I think the traditional Dracula vampire in this world is a moon cultist who wants to live in the necrotic truth of the moon, and so when they die of whatever they die of, their body is like submerged in blood instead of water.
Hear me out. If you cover a body during the day and only allow the rays of the moon to touch it, that's what brings it back, is like a knowing undead, a vampire. It's, funerary shrouded during the day and then opened up to the elements at night for however many days it takes for it to come back. That fits in with the sun-moon dichotomy.
Now we're getting into some fun stuff. Like, I like the idea that, like, the proportion changes what you come back as. Like, I think it's interesting if it's perfectly 50-50, you come back as something, but it needs to be, like, to the second. And that's how you end up with something, like, really weird that you can end up coming back as. Okay.
Daywalker.
That's pretty sick.
So basically what you're saying is, okay, I have some pitches here then. All right. So, if what light you are exposed to over the course of your death, over the course of those days matters, then I like the idea that a revenant, somebody who comes back seeking revenge, right? If you are killed unceremoniously and they don't want anybody to find you, I think that the worst thing you can do with a body in this world is what criminals do with people that they kill and they don't want anyone to find. They bury them in the dirt.
Yeah.
And so I think a body exposed to no light is a revenant. They claw their way out of the dirt and seek whoever left them buried, and that's what they do. I don't even think they seek the murderer. They seek whoever left them there, and that's who they have. I like that because it gives you more of a reason to stop revenants. In a lot of normal D&D, it's like, he's killing like the guy that killed him. I don't really care. But if it's like a random stranger buried them so that they wouldn't be eaten by predators, and he meant to come back and he just never did, and now there's an undead chasing him across time, like, you know, unrelentingly coming to kill him. One that's only the moon. Immediately my thought is wraiths, the like spectral swirling void like undead, or maybe shadows.
Ooh, true. And
think
if you get
shadow.
a perfect mix, I think perfect mix is true vampires. These are powerful magic.
Don't like bloodbath? That's weird.
I mean, bloodbath doesn't do with the light. That's my problem.
They're submerged during the day.
That's so funny. So
Now,
how does...
what if you only get sunlight? What do you become if you only get sunlight?
Oh, I just had a
we've
thought about
established
this.
that it's terrible to be in the sun all the time.
I just had a thought about this.
Like, it's
Oh,
not good. It's
wait.
just active.
Shadows should be
mound.
Oh, their physical being has been burned away. All that is left is the shadow that avoids the light. Pretty sick. Pretty badass.
That's one.
So shadow is all light. So what is all... So all sun. So what does all moon get you?
All moons.
Was
We've
that a
established
wraith?
the moon is like entropy. So this is
that-
something that
I'm kind of leaning towards that being... If we're not going to do bloodbath, I think that should be vampire.
I'm fine with that.
Because
Oh.
I think because you're so entirely consumed by necrotic energy that you need to eat people to live.
Mhm.
And I think that shadows are worse. I don't think shadows in this world are CR 1/4
So
dudes who
bad.
go "Rah," and do like 1d4
Yeah.
strength damage. I think shadows suck in this world. I think shadows are like great lumbering things. I think they're bad.
Now hear me out. This is a big swing. Perfect 50-50 down to the second is how in this iteration of the world you achieve lichdom. You have the perfect balance between entropy and life.
It
You are
gives you
stuck in the middle.
It gives you like a pseudo divinity.
You pull divinity,
Can I-
exactly.
now,
so you become a lich.
I want to make the smallest adjustment. I think the perfect 50 is how one thing has become a lich. I don't think it's how you get liches this time around. I think there is a lich in the world that did this because the number of things in the way of getting this is so astronomically high that I'm not worried about the players like recreating it. It needs to be you need to know what a second is. You need to know that you can do it, and you need to be able to time it and get it perfectly right.
With the ultimate stakes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it, you're a ghoul.
Yeah, you're just straight up a ghoul.
That's sick.
And I am getting like an image of like a half drow, half high elf kind of like who's the guy from the one member of the tribunal from Morrowind? I think Vivek is the guy who's split right down the middle.
That's badass.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture when we get off. All right, cool. So oceans, huh?
Yeah.
So lost isles and relics. People are buried in the ocean. You go to the ocean to talk to the undead. Are the undead like? Are they there? So this is another thing. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on in the ocean. Is there like ghost towns in the ocean? Do the ghosts do stuff?
I don't think so. I think the ghosts are more...
Okay, great.
They've already entered into the great swirling waves of nothingness, but you can summon them forth from that.
It's just
to make them
information.
individual again. and then they go back into the ocean after that, into the swirling nothing.
In that case, then I'm just going to hit us with there are more islands than we previously said. That's all. It's just it happens more often than we might think, and some of them are truly lost. Some of them detached hundreds of years ago and have never been seen again.
And what's big for adventurers is when you go to one of these islands, almost certainly they're all going to be dead. Nobody on these islands is fully self-sufficient. So when you get there, whatever's there is yours. You take all the gold, all the finery, everything they might have had there.
So, and I like this because it's a twofold problem. Islands are almost always all dead because you just can't sustain it. They are also almost always full of undead because there was no one there to put them to sea.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a little video gamey, but could be fun too. Could we have one ghost town, one small ghost town? I don't know what the reason would be or cause. Probably something with the moon because it's stagnated some death.
I think the landmost spot on the world has a town called like No Return, and it's just full of undead, of thinking undead who are like, my grandson died on his way. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It was a 300-day journey. What do you mean? They didn't take me. They just didn't. And I think a lot of them are like, they didn't take me. Are you mad? No, they died. They couldn't make it. What are you kidding me? So I just hang out here now.
It was me and my wife. My wife is 87 years old. She's not making the trip. I'm not mad. I'm chilling right here.
And they're like, what? Oh no, did your wife like go to the coast? No, she's in the house, Vera. And Vera's just waiting to also die and be left there for 30 days. And then she's like, what are you gonna do? Gonna get back up? Got stuff to do.
That's so funny.
I think that it's uncomfortable. I don't think it's fun to be an undead, but I think for some people they would be like, hey man, that's just the reality of what I've got going on. And I think if you die and you wake up as an undead, and you try to go to a town, they'll probably be like, you aren't welcome here, but there is somewhere you can go. And so I think there's like a big town in the middle of a desert somewhere.
Yeah,
and they just go there.
The dead. Oh, a dead dragon. Or like an undead dragon.
Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, there's
the
like
element of death.
There's a biome that's gone. There's like a dead biome. There's a biome that doesn't exist in the world anymore.
It's an extinct biome.
And it's like, what is it?
Sick.
It's gone. I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
No one will ever know. It's gone. It's where that's where fucking dinosaurs came from. The dinosaur biome is dead, and it's like, oh, where are all the dinosaurs? Their biome died. That's what happened. It's so sad. It's so sad.
How it goes.
All right, really good stuff. Okay, so there's lots of islands. The islands almost always mean undead because there's no one there to bury the people that get isolated like that. I think that's all great. We have this kind of lich component, which I think is very cool. One of the liches is steeped in this and made this kind of crazy discovery. So, I dropped my pen. Okay.
I feel like we kind of did it. We hit that shit.
I had a question on the back of my head, and I just can't remember what it was. It was something about the islands. It was something about the fact that the islands are constantly drifting. It's so hard to find. Oh, I got a pretty big question. Do islands ever go up? Are there any islands up? And are there any islands down? Like, I understand that parts of the landmass drift off. Do they only go out into the water? Do they ever go up? Do they ever go into the sky? And do they ever go underwater?
They probably have gone underwater, and that's so bad if you see an island go under.
I'm fine with the answer both being no. I think it's okay. I'm just curious. It was one of the questions I have. If we're in this like weird, super spiritual Newtonian world, right? Occasionally, does an island, probably rare, probably can't be very big, does it occasionally just go up?
I think going
One
below...
Piece.
Yeah, Skypiea. I think the idea of them going below the waves, in my mind, makes more sense than them flying above into the air. But that's just a personal hold-up more than anything.
I'm just asking if we like it. If we don't like it, that's fine. It's just, it was one of my first thoughts was, does an island ever go up?
I vote no. I don't think islands go up. I think they only go down or across.
What do people say about an island that sinks then? Because all of the undead there would stop being undead, right? There's a good question. If you throw an undead in the ocean, do they die?
That's where the running water myth.
Yeah. Is that where the running water thing comes from? If you dunk a zombie in the water, does it die?
I think if you dump it into the undead waters of the sea, yes.
Oh, it's got to be
If you dump it into a lake, no.
Okay. Oh, so is lake water not toxic, not poison?
No.
Lake water's chilling. That's how you get regular water. It's how you drink it.
Oh, okay, so you can drink river and lake water, but ocean water's is dead, and so it kills you if you drink it? That's great. I love
Makes
that.
sense.
There's good water and bad water. I think that's great. It's hilarious that there's just not salt water.
It's not salt. It's
like
fine.
If you came from our world and you were like, does it taste salty? They'd be like, what the fuck? They'd have no idea what you were talking
How
about.
much salt do you have in your world?
I like the idea that people
Salt's
associate the water with salt because it's like embalming salt. It's just an
That's
unrelated
funny.
association they have.
Yeah.
All right, pretty good. All right, with that, it's 8:58. The ocean has many floating islands of lost lands. Occasionally, you might find people still alive there if a big enough chunk broke off, but most of the time, you will find nothing but walking corpses. People do still go out, though, for two reasons. One, whatever was there is there to be rediscovered again. And two, if you need to bring a friend back from the dead, if you need to talk to a dead friend, the only way to do it is to go out on the ocean. So there are secrets on the ocean, there are dead on the ocean, there are treasures on the ocean, there are massive monsters on the ocean that you can commune with. Maybe some of those monsters know great and terrible secrets. The sun and moon are the aspects of life and death and are in an ever existing dance in the sky, and nighttime is dangerous as hell. If a body is not returned to the ocean in decent time, it comes back as an undead. Revenants are exposed to no light. Shadows are exposed to only the sun. Vampires are exposed to only the moon. There's one lich who got perfectly executed the 50-50 and so took on like a weird pseudo divinity by doing so. They like ate a fragment of the god when they did that. That's probably, and we can decide, is that the first lich? Is that the first one that ever did it? Is our arch lich this, weird chronomancer who learned about this, saw that it was impossible, and so learned to bend time to ensure that it would be equal after his death? Did he like weave some great terrible spell? And we know that sometimes people will cover a body during different times to purposefully bring it back as what they desire to be, and that there is a town full of undead in the middle of the most landlocked part of the continent because they could not be brought to the edge so that they could be let go. And when the world is reset, the great consciousness of all things is reset with it, is brought into line with all things. It's pretty solid. I feel good about it.
That's
I
good.
think the ocean episode taught us a lot about the cosmology of our world. We got some cool monsters, some cool creatures, some cool ideas. We had to throw a couple of ideas out, and this is where I turn back one more time to say, welcome to DM Writer's Room. Some DM advice that is more essential than anything. If you've been watching this show for a long time, you've watched us do it a lot. Sometimes you have an idea that you really like, and then you say it out loud in front of two other people. And after 20 minutes of trying to make your nonsense make sense, everybody needs to go, hey, we're just not doing that idea. We're just not doing that idea. It can't work. Nope. It's not going to happen.
It's not a bad idea, but it might fit better in another spot.
It's just not going to happen. It's kill your darlings, right? It doesn't matter if it's your favorite scene. If it wouldn't be a reader's favorite scene, cut it. Thank you all so much for watching. We will catch you on the next one. Peace out.